How's it going, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to be discussing my own personal top favorite herbs and nutrition slash diet changes for improving your testosterone and the functioning of your dopamine and how it interrelates with your hormones. So first of all, let's start off with what do I mean by improving testosterone and dopamine, okay? This is very important that I define what I mean by improving dopamine and testosterone because most people who are seeking advice on this topic are not actually looking for, alternative to steroids. What they're not looking, people usually don't actually test their testosterone before they determine they have a testosterone problem, and they're seeking all this information on how to improve testosterone without actually having like a real reason to do such a thing, right? They're not going to the doctor and getting their blood levels checked, and then the doctor telling them that they have low testosterone, and then they're searching up videos. Because if they did, they'd probably be prescribed TRT anyway, right? What most people are looking for are herbs and supplements and diet changes that can improve the symptoms of higher testosterone. And so that's really what we're looking at here. Although, so basically subjective improvements and qualities that are commonly associated with testosterone. So we're talking about sexual performance. We're talking about libido. We're talking about our mental arousal for things like sex, but also motivation, productivity, and energy and zest for attacking the demands of life, okay? Someone who has energy, zest, and that kind of like, I guess people say masculine energy radiating outward, but physical and mental energy, okay? As well as arousal for sex, okay? Mental arousal, just an overall increase in, if you're at the gym and you're training, you notice females, beautiful females, way more when you have these qualities improved. And it's basically the complete opposite of somebody who's extremely depressed or what have you, right? So that's the first thing, is we're really going to be talking about how to improve subjective feelings of higher testosterone. The second thing is that a lot of these things will actually improve your free testosterone, or, your free and your total testosterone, provided there's not a lot of sex hormone binding globulin binding up the free testosterone, okay, because that's very important. Your blood levels will likely improve as a result, especially if you have diagnosed by a physician low testosterone, okay? If you have your blood levels checked and you do have low testosterone, these natural herbs and supplements have actually been shown, some of them have actually been shown in the literature to improve testosterone levels in people with low testosterone, and some of them, even in healthy men with healthy testosterone levels, can actually increase their testosterone levels over time, okay? So, yeah. The main thing here, though, is that you're going to definitely experience benefits that you're looking for. That's what we're really looking for, okay? Yeah. Another thing is, not only are these things shown in the scientific literature to improve these qualities, and some of them actual blood markers of testosterone improving, but also these are the things I'm focusing on in this video because I have personally found them extremely beneficial for these purposes, okay? This is not like a repeat of what everyone else tells you, like Phaedogia terrestris and Tongkat Ali or whatever. I've tried those. I'm not a fan, and they have a lot of potential side effects that just most people don't give a shit about, and they get really bad results or side effects a lot of the time because they don't do their due diligence of research. So these things are a lot easier to work with. They're safer, and I find them way more effective for the purposes intended, okay? They're not in any particular order, but I have a lot of them here. So, and we're going to go over diet changes as well in this video, okay? All right, so let's begin. So first of all, every morning I brew a giant pot of coffee, and I usually put yerba mate as well as whatever coffee I feel like drinking for that day. We're talking about at least 12 cups, like just a whole pot of coffee basically. And I blend these herbs in with my coffee, okay? And there's a lot of benefits for caffeine, coffee, and really coffee and yerba mate have some unique benefits that aren't entirely explained by caffeine alone, for improving dopamine as well as testosterone. And also another caveat, I talk a lot about dopamine in relation to testosterone here because on a neurochemical level, dopamine is mostly an antagonist of prolactin, and prolactin you can think of in many ways as a antagonist of free testosterone and androgens as a whole. And so, for the most part, and you could say most things that improve dopamine, especially agonists of dopamine or improve the expression of dopamine, tend to also counteract prolactin or lower prolactin, and in turn, over the long term, can help to improve healthy levels of testosterone as well, or just androgens in general. It's not always true, but I think as a general rule, you could kind of say that. And you'll definitely feel way better when you have high levels or healthy levels of dopamine. So anyway, let's begin. So the first herb on here is Eleuthero, also known as Siberian ginseng. And this is a basic dried root powder. I'm not endorsed by any of these companies, but these are the ones I found to be the most legit for many reasons. If you're interested, I can make a whole dedicated video on Eleuthero root and why I choose this exact, just the raw powder. It's not extracted, not a standardized extract. And basically, in the scientific literature, it's been shown to improve aerobic capacity, anaerobic performance and conditioning, as well as free testosterone levels over time, as well as potentially offset some of the effects of stress and help your body adapt to stress over time. Eleuthero is one of the very first coined adaptogenic herbs, even though I don't really believe so much in the idea of adaptogens per se. But the big thing is it helps your body adapt to stress and adapt to training demands and things like that. And it definitely improves your free testosterone to cortisol ratio, which is a marker of overtraining syndrome, and health optimization, healthy testosterone hormonal profiles overall. And it's one of the biggest things that people have taken historically. There were Olympic athletes, a whole Olympic team who actually was taking this to win a number of gold medals, with all other things pretty equal to the other teams. Maybe they were taking steroids on the side, but they were definitely taking Eleuthero, and it definitely was something that helped. I personally find Eleuthero helps me sleep better. It helps me feel more motivated and focused throughout the day, puts me in a better overall mood, and I find it a key foundational herb for improving the feelings that you would associate with dopamine and testosterone. Healthy sex drive, improving the sleep later on, and that boost in energy that is noticeable, but at the same time, it calms you. I have definitely found that with Eleuthero, a calming boost in energy and focus that is more visceral and physical in nature. When you take something like coffee, you feel the jitters and stuff. You feel a little bit more mental anxiety and head energy, you could say. Eleuthero is a more body feel. It's a more whole organism type energizing effect that feels healthy. It's the best way I could describe it. So definitely recommend Eleuthero for actual measurable improvements in blood testosterone levels, but also physical performance and improvements like running double distance, having double the endurance. And its effects generally take about 2 to 4 weeks to start to notice. After about 4 weeks, I noticed I have just an urge to train and train and train that wasn't there before. Like literally, where a lot of people might feel tired and bored after like an hour or two of being in the gym. For me, I notice I started to become addicted to exercise when I take Eleuthero. But it usually kicks in after about 4 weeks. So the next one on our list that we're going to talk about is Polyerachus ant. And I personally highly recommend the Hyperion herbs, Polyerachus ant specifically. So first of all, Polyerachus black ant is it's classified as a tonic in some texts. For example, I have one of them right here. Ron Teagarden's Ancient Wisdom of the Chinese Tonic Herbs. And yeah, this is actually just randomly happened to be here, believe it or not. And it classifies it as a Yang Jing tonic, essentially, and a key tonic. And basically what Polyerachus black ant, and it depends on who you talk to as to, what it's classified as. But the big thing is, historically, it's been used alongside ginseng, and you could probably use it alongside Eleuthero as well, even though Eleuthero is not technically a ginseng. It has compounds very similar to it and acts in similar ways. To complement its, its energizing and, adaptogenic type effects and benefits. The Polyerachus black ant, these ants were found around the ginseng plants when grown wild, and it's been used for thousands of years to improve vitality, energy, sexual function, and libido, and basically all the qualities that you would kind of associate with improved dopamine functioning and improved testosterone levels. So in recent years, in the last maybe 40 to 60 years, I think I started seeing the earliest research papers on black ant that I saw came out of the 1970s. Basically, what we've discovered with chemical analysis is that Polyerachus black ant has multiple dopamine derivative compounds, okay? So different precursors to dopamine, different molecules that help to recycle dopamine within the circulation. So, things that can inhibit the enzymes that break dopamine down and that break down the metabolites of L-dopa and tyrosine. And overall, has a really beneficial reduction effect of prolactin. So you'll find a lot of other people who talk about this herb on YouTube. There's videos about it where they focus way too much on its zinc content. So Polyerachus black ant is just a very powerful concentrated source of zinc, yes. And we know that zinc can improve testosterone levels and decrease prolactin if somebody is deficient in zinc. Although I'm not a fan of supplementing isolated, supplemental zinc in general, especially with the intention of improving testosterone levels, because almost always these benefits of supplementing vitamins and minerals, they're not shown unless you're deficient in the vitamin and mineral. So I don't think you're going to get a huge bump in testosterone from supplementing with zinc or something high in zinc unless you're deficient in it. However, it is concentrated in zinc, and if you do believe that improving your zinc status, even if you're not deficient, improves testosterone, because it can have 5-alpha reductase inhibiting qualities, is what they claim about zinc, then yeah, at the very least, you can take Polyerachus black ant to feed your body with precursors to dopamine and also ectosterone. So there's actually insect hormones that people will supplement directly. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of testosterone. And testosterone, I believe, is a plant sterol, like a testosterone derivative from plants, basically. Well, ectosterone is basically a insect-derived or similar compound, but insect-derived. It basically, hypothetically, does almost the same thing, but it's actually from an insect. And especially for people who are on carnivore diets who believe that plant compounds are mostly harmful or not bioavailable for humans, well, you can get way better benefits from taking that in the form of Polyrhacus black ant. But I don't advocate for carnivore diets in the dogmatic sense, by the way, but I do think having an animal-based diet is beneficial. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, dopamine precursors, compounds that help to recycle dopamine, compounds that help to optimize the dopamine's functioning on the receptor site. There's also a lot of molecules in this Polyrhacus black ant for synthesizing ATP production. I believe there's direct precursors to ATP in Polyrhacus black ant. And ATP is your body's primary source of energy, really. When you eat carbohydrates or you metabolize glucose into energy, when you metabolize fatty acid compounds into energy, the end result, no matter what source, is ATP. And so, very, very good idea to supplement with something that can provide you precursors to ATP, like people who take creatine, for example. That's one of the benefits of creatine, is that it can partially supply ATP, as well as obviously creatine phosphate in general. And also having these kind of unique insect hormones provided directly, probably a overall biggest bang for your buck supplement for testosterone. So yeah, for all of those reasons, that's definitely, in my opinion, one of the best things you could do. And so Hyperion Herbs is my go-to vendor for Polyrhacus black ant. It's just that they don't always have it in stock. And Brandon Gilbert, the owner and founder of Hyperion Herbs, has been kind of like taking it off his inventory for a while, and I'm putting it back on. And it's kind of like one of those things where he removes it from his product line for a while, and then he just gets way too many customers who complain and want it back. So he adds it back. So yeah, I actually bought a pound this last time that he restocked it because I found it so beneficial for me. I've tried Lost Empire Herbs, and I'm not a fan. It tastes way different than the Hyperion Herbs brand, and it didn't give me the same benefits that I found before. And I've tried a lot of other brands. It's very hard to find Polyrhacus black ant in general, and it's very hard to find a legit source because people who sell it could easily sell you some like charcoal powder or some other shit and it not be the actual thing you want. So yeah, just throwing it out there. And I'd be very careful with random brands that don't have a strong internet presence and don't have third-party testing, okay? Don't just settle on, herb brands that you haven't really researched. I don't understand why people do that. But people all the time will leave me comments on my YouTube. Like, hey man, I tried this mushroom extract. It didn't really give me any benefit. It must just be placebo. And then you ask them what kind it is, and it's like an all mycelium product of really poor quality, not a standardized extract, no third-party testing, or whatever. It's like a really shit product. And you're like, well, no wonder. So anyway, next on the list is pine pollen. So pine pollen is another one of those things that is very hard to find a good source on the internet. And there's some that, don't even have a pine pollen-y taste. So you want the wild harvested crack cell pine pollen powder. So pine pollen is something that also has dopamine precursor derivative compounds in it, and also has testosterone precursors and basically plant-based testosterone precursors in it as well. And so kind of like, again, testosterone or ectosterone, pine pollen can provide you with some of those hormone precursor benefits. And there's a lot of other nitric oxide boosting compounds in pine pollen and other great things that that it can help improve your functioning for dopamine and things like that, motivation and sexual function and whatnot. Lots and lots of people swear by pine pollen, and I can see why. It's become a lot more popular over the last 4 years or so, but I remember back in 2012, 2013 when I first started getting into this, pine pollen was very hard to find, and there was only one brand that would sell it. I think it was Sir Thrival was the brand back then, but yeah. So this is a very cheap source, by the way. It's $20 for 35 tablespoons, which is pretty crazy. Most brands that you find will be $20 for maybe a 5 or a 10-day supply, but I managed to always find the best deals on it. So highly recommend pine pollen. I find it improves my energy levels, my aggression, my sex drive, all of that. So next on the list we have Shilajit. So Shilajit, and there's a lot of debate about what type to take. I don't believe that the raw Shilajit powder is as dangerous as people say. Lots of people are scared of contaminants and scared of heavy metals and stuff like that. I just don't. I think the scaremongering, fear-mongering is exaggerated. I think most people, most companies will tell you that the raw Shilajit is bad for you because they want to sell you their own patented version. Like Primav is one brand, or they want to sell you the purified version and this and that. And I just don't think it's necessary. I found more benefit from taking the raw Shilajit powder than I have the purified resin version or whatever. When I take the Shilajit, slime or whatever it is, the purified version, I don't feel very much noticeable effects. Even the Primav, even the one from Nootropics Depot that everyone claims is the best. So I use the Sun Foods raw Shilajit powder. I haven't been taking it lately, but I was taking a half teaspoon to a whole teaspoon, which is expensive as fuck. And I noticed right away an improvement in my focus, my motivation, my drive, my aggression. It felt like taking a really hardcore dopamine precursor. So a lot of the speculation as to why it makes you feel so awesome is that it seems to improve acetylcholine and dopamine function. So a lot of the things that Shilajit contains would be minerals and antioxidants and things that can improve coenzyme Q10 and energy at the level of the mitochondria. So I would personally, I haven't really looked too much at data analysis on Shilajit, but I would not be surprised if there is dopamine precursors in Shilajit and things that can improve the functioning of ATP. And I think the coenzyme Q10 optimizing benefits of Shilajit are probably partly to blame for such benefits. But there's a lot of people out there that just focus on it being a heavy source of minerals. And, I've heard people say, oh, if I had a choice of taking a multivitamin or taking Shilajit, I'd take Shilajit. And I just think that's funny because a multivitamin is a completely different substance and, composition of nutrients in Shilajit. I don't think Shilajit can replace, vitamin needs or anything like that. I think it's a source of precursors to dopamine acetylcholine and ATP, as well as probably some kind of hormonal component in it as well. It's been shown in some studies that it might actually improve testosterone levels in rats and potentially humans as well. So yeah, I think Shilajit is good. I don't have enough research. I haven't acquired enough research on it or experience on it to really make a dedicated video, even though I have taken it for months at a time. I have noticed strength improvements immediately, as well as improvements in my motivation immediately and my sex drive immediately. So I think there's something to say for Shilajit. And also, I think it improves my sleep. So it makes me feel more calm, which is interesting. So yeah, I would recommend Shilajit, but I don't think I have enough experience or research to make a dedicated video. And I'm not like these other people. Like when I make videos dedicated about an herb, it's about something that I've actually experimented with extensively. Most people just repeat the same thing they've heard over and over again. All right, so next thing on this list is going to be Dopa Mucuna, or more specifically Mucuna pruriens extract. I made a lot of videos about this in the past. Just go ahead and search my channel name in Mucuna if you want to see those. But the big thing is, so Mucuna has been shown to improve testosterone in healthy humans, and especially humans with low testosterone. Mucuna pruriens supplies you with L-Dopa, which is a direct precursor to dopamine. It also has other nutrients in it or molecules in it that can help to balance out some of the potential dangers of, overcoming tyrosine carboxylase and some of these enzymes that prevent the breakdown of tyrosine, the rate limiting enzymes and things. A lot of people are scared of having an overload of L-Dopa, but when you take Mucuna as like a standardized extract and it's only a 15% L-Dopa extract, you get all these other compounds in it that help to prevent some of the negative side effects. So you might see, studies on L-Dopa, like purified L-Dopa, where you have a lot of side effects and stuff of dopamine overload or whatever. And Parkinson patients, for example, is usually what they're used. But you don't get that in healthy individuals who are taking a Mucuna pruriens extract, because there's complementary, like the entourage effect is what they call it, complementary phytochemicals in Mucuna as a whole herb that prevent negative side effects. So I find Mucuna pruriens to be an amazing way of improving dopamine levels without nasty side effects or even building a tolerance over time. I find that it seems to improve my strength levels almost immediately, improves my focus, my motivation, and my just like naturalness of getting things done. I don't really have as much resistance to do productive things. I'm able to focus for long periods of time, and helps me have more social energy. I'm more laughing. I'm more engaged and interested in what people have to say, more interested and engaged in my work, and improves the ability to last longer during training, because one of the main things that cause fatigue in physical training is actually serotonin. So, but the biggest benefit for testosterone, though, is its direct ability to lower prolactin, because you're increasing dopamine. So yeah, and there's some evidence and speculation that that Mucuna can also increase human growth hormone, but I don't know, and I don't really believe that human growth hormone as a supplement improves performance all that well. So yeah, lots of benefits for Mucuna, and the biggest thing is it'll just improve your mood, improve your energy, because it has dopamine precursors in it. So yeah, highly recommend Mucuna. Oh, and also it might dramatically improve your libido. So next on this list is going to be Panax ginseng. So right here I have the Nootropics Depot 40% ginsenoside is a leaf and stem extract, okay? And basically, lots and lots of studies have been done on Panax red ginseng. What I notice right away is more motivation, energy. I notice a dramatic improvement in my endurance, in my aerobic and anaerobic conditioning. Lots of people claim that they have unbelievable improvements in their aerobic capacity. Some people claim that when they normally will run 4 miles a day on average, they can run 8 to 12 miles a day on Panax red ginseng with little increase, like very little increases in effort. They notice that that they can endure longer and harder training and recover from it at a dramatic improvement as well. And it's traditionally been used as an adaptogen and as a athletic performance enhancing herb or substance for this purpose. Now, some things about Panax ginseng that you need to understand is it's traditionally been used to improve fatigue and improve recovery and improve energy and increase life force in people who are chronically deprived of nutrition or malnourished or chronically sick or elderly or older individuals. And so with that in mind, as a young individual, you might notice way too much energy from taking it. So I would say start with a low dose. I actually take probably almost 1 gram of this, even though the recommended dose is about 200 milligrams. I take about 1/4 of a teaspoon. So something that you need to know is not only might you feel too much energy from it, but it will increase your appetite. And for me, I believe someone who's trying to optimize their testosterone levels, an improved appetite it goes hand in hand. People who, like, one of the worst things you can do for your testosterone levels is undereat. And if you're tracking calories, you should track calories with the purpose of making sure you're eating enough. And just most people who are looking for more motivation, more energy and stuff like that, more libido, the whole reason why you don't have that in the first place is because you fucking undereat, especially animal protein. So something that improves your appetite is a good thing. And like, it just annoys the shit out of me when like people are like, oh, it might improve my appetite. Well, that's a no for me because I'm trying to lose weight. It's like, motherfucker, you're trying to improve your testosterone and all this stuff and, starve yourself at the same time. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here, right? Pick them up and throw them, whoosh, German suplex them out of the building. Anyway, yeah, so Panax red ginseng can improve your recovery, improve your appetite, which more food means more recovery. A lot of people swear that it improves their leanness, which I've noticed as well. Even though I'm eating more food because I increase appetite, I definitely seem to get more muscle mass. Like, it looks like I'm getting more muscle mass. Really, I'm just losing a lot more body fat at the same time. I'm getting lean for some reason. I don't know why. Subjectively speaking, I have noticed I seem to get leaner faster with Panax red ginseng. I don't know. It's just something I notice. And I think it improves my sleep as well. So, highly recommend it. But just be careful with the dosage. So next thing on the list is going to be Cordyceps. So, Cordyceps is another traditional Chinese tonic herb. And I recommend the Hyperion Herbs brand if you can afford it. Basically, what I notice with Cordyceps is it seems to improve my mood, my energy, my zest for life, and I just seem to have the ability to go forever. This is another one of those herbs that seems to dramatically improve my aerobic capacity and anaerobic capacity and my ability to go hard. When I'm training for competition, I almost always have Cordyceps in my stack. I've been taking Cordyceps pretty religiously since I think January of 2021, and this is almost 2 years now. It's 2 years now, and it's been shown in the literature to improve testosterone to cortisol ratio, which is a marker of overtraining and healthy hormone profiles, and as well as improve aerobic capacity and anaerobic capacity or anaerobic threshold in human test subjects, because it seems to help the body recycle ATP. You notice a lot of reoccurring themes in this video about all these herbs. There also seems to be unique compounds in some extracts and some strains of Cordyceps that seem to improve the recycling of dopamine in the brain. So lots of people use it to improve circulation and oxygenation. And I personally believe that Cordyceps is a very powerful ally in doing so. I have a lot of videos on Cordyceps, so if you're interested in more deep detail in the science behind it, my subjective experience, then you could just look that up. And maybe I'll make a playlist, or if you're really interested, ask me in the comments. If you can't find it, I'll send you a link to the videos that I've done on Cordyceps. I have probably 10 to 20 videos on Cordyceps, actually, as well as Mucuna and these other herbs I've talked about here. So I've been taking it for 2 years, and I highly, highly recommend it. And I recommend it from Hyperion Herbs brand. I'll tell you this, do not choose brands like Host Defense or Nutrition or these other ones. If it doesn't list the concentration ratio, the standardization ratio, or have a third-party test for its active constituents, if it's not a 4-to-1 extract, 5-to-1 extract, 10-to-1 extract, you probably don't want it. Highly recommend Hyperion Herbs Cordyceps, honestly. So let's see, what's the next one on this list? Maca. So maca root, gelatinized only. Do not get the raw maca, everyone. Gelatinized. This is a mixture of black maca, red maca, and yellow maca. I find yellow maca generally works just fine. Black maca, I seem to notice more of a circulation and nootropic benefit, but not so much like a libido enhancing benefit. But I'd recommend just getting a basic gelatinized maca at first. Get it mixed or the yellow version. Lots of people claim the yellow or the cream, they call it cream maca. They claim that it's not as powerful or this or that. I found this to be the best, and overall maca. What you'll find is, with maca, an improvement in libido, for sure. Now, it hasn't been said what is causing the improvement in libido, but I suspect it is a improvement in the density of dopamine receptors, most likely, or of DHEA receptors or testosterone receptors. Something about the density of some kind of androgenic or dopaminergic receptors. And you can notice almost immediately when you take a tablespoon of maca that the improvements in energy, the improvements in motivation, and definitely improvements in semen volume. Like, this is a big thing. When I take maca religiously, especially if I stack it with Tribulus, these were the OG, like, libido-enhancing, testosterone-boosting things that I was taking. I would go from coming about 1 tablespoon to suddenly coming about 4 tablespoons. And I, like, this is not a joke. Take this as a warning. When I was taking maca combined with Tribulus, every girl that I would have sex with during that time would tell me they have never had sex with a guy who came that much. Like, it was always like porn star level cum shots. Okay, I have a lot of videos on maca. You can look them up or ask me about it and to link you. From 2015 all the way to, mid 2014 up until like 2018, I was taking maca religiously. I was taking maca for almost 4 years straight religiously. So I had a lot of experience with it. Man, the semen volume increase from maca was just insane. If you're looking for something to boost freaking libido and whatnot, and semen volume and sexual functioning, Maca root and Tribulus is like the first place to start. Just insane. But you have to take the right kind, and that's the biggest problem with people is they'll take the raw kind and they'll be bamboozled into thinking raw is better and all this shit. And it's like, no. Traditionally, no one's ever consumed raw maca. Do not fucking take raw maca. Take gelatinized maca, and you will see the most amazing increase in your sexual performance. You just gotta be careful. You'll find your libido's more sensitive, like after a while of taking it, especially if you combine it with no fap. Like when girls just touch you down there a little bit, man, just you can't help it. You get a boner immediately, and you might also find yourself attracted to a lot more than just you might find yourself attracted to old ladies too. So just just throwing that out there. It's crazy. Okay, careful, y'all. And this is a brand that I've been liking lately, but Gaia Herbs has a really good gelatinized maca extract that's relatively decent, and also Terrasol. Let me throw it out there. You can also, I'm not including this in my video list, but Yohimbe bark extract, particularly the male response by Source Naturals, is really good, and also Yohimbe Plus by Irwin Naturals. That shit will be the craziest double whammy, and it has a lot of other herbs in it, including Tribulus and Maca, that will help to improve the function of your pee-wee. But it can be rather dangerous if you take too much of it. So, yeah. Next on the list, Tribulus. I would recommend probably about 1 gram of Tribulus a day, maybe. And let me just a little warning on Maca root. Maca root might make you really fucking aggressive, and could potentially mess with your sleep later. So if you find yourself just raging out with very little control and just being like too assertive, too aggressive, too, a little bit like angry and maybe a little like tendency towards violence, be very careful, because like Maca and Maca with Tribulus can do that. It will increase everything that you'd expect from like a testosterone booster, especially if you include Yohimbe. Anyway, Tribulus, hands down, another thing that can improve your semen volume and your kind of like interest in sex and your mental arousal towards sex. Lots of people mention Tribulus improving their motivation and their urge to like hit the gym and be physical. And I would say that that's probably pretty accurate. I think Tribulus is a lot more mild in its kind of like aggressive and assertive effects. You're not going to feel like you're raging out like you would with Maca. Although I think I remember there was a time where I was taking like 3 to 4 grams of Tribulus a day, and I did feel like it was very hard for me to control my aggression. It was like, on the road, man, I have road rage. I'd be like, I need to get to the gym now, and when I was hungry, I'm like, I need my food now, and I'd get pissed off if like the food was taking too long to cook, or if traffic was like making me, if it took an extra 5 minutes to get to the gym, I'd be pissed off, and those are things you'd expect from like highly androgenic compounds, really, even though, there's controversy and debate over like, is roid rage really a thing? But I'll tell you, it definitely increased those physical feelings of stress where I'm like, oh, God, I got to get to the gym. And when I get to the gym, I'd fucking kill it. And if someone was interrupting me in the middle of my training, I'd get mad. So I don't really like that. I don't like feeling like I'm cracked out. I don't like that feeling of just like too aggressive. I feel like it ruins your kind of performance in other areas of life and athleticism too. Like if I'm doing jiu-jitsu and I'm taking like Maca, even just Maca alone, it makes me a little too angry to do jiu-jitsu. You don't want to be angry when you're doing martial arts. You really don't. I don't want to even talk about some of the experience that I had doing jiu-jitsu on Maca. But just know that, it'll increase your aggression and whatnot. But Tribulus, make it a little bit more calm. I believe it. A lot of people say it improves their sleep, improves their motivation, their energy to get to the gym, improves the functioning of your pee-wee. And And lots of people believe it helps improve their strength gains. I have not really seen that like I have with these other ones. These other ones, you could just tell totally noticeable with these other ones. Tribulus, I don't know. I had a client while taking Tribulus and ginseng at the same time. His appetite went through the fucking roof. I remember he was telling me he'd wake up in the middle of the night just ravenous, just like so fucking hungry. But his running improved dramatically when he was taking ginseng and Tribulus at the same time. He was telling me, and he told me he was sperming a lot more too, right? And this is something you'd expect from Tribulus actually, but that his run time went from this is a guy 4 miles a day to all of a sudden 12, and then when he stopped taking Tribulus and Maca, Tribulus and ginseng, he had noticed his running ability went down dramatically. And also, he experienced like this week or two of withdrawals of extreme depression. So I don't know if that was necessarily because of the Tribulus or the ginseng or whatever, especially the so-called withdrawals, because we did change his herbs pretty completely. I think there was something that we started taking that was making him feel depressed, but it's possible that the combination of Tribulus and ginseng improved his testosterone through the roof, and that's why his running time improved, his appetite improved, and when he stopped taking it, he had like a withdrawal effect where his body was bouncing back from the high testosterone levels and trying to improve natural production without the herbs out of nowhere. And it's true that people do take Tribulus for post-cycle therapy coming off steroids, so I'm just sharing my experience and my observations. And yeah, I'm not currently taking Tribulus, but I'm thinking about starting again with like a low dose of all of these actually. And yeah, so I think that kind of brings our supplements and herbs to an end. I'm going to talk about diet here for the last 15 minutes of this video, but my recommendation is to take the foundation. If I had to recommend a foundation to everybody, it would depend on what you're trying to improve. If you're trying to improve libido and sex drive, I would recommend a combination of a basic one, Tribulus and Maca first, because that's like tried and true, will definitely improve results. And I would recommend, if you're going to do Tribulus, the Now Foods brand, because it's very hard to find a Tribulus that actually works. But Now Foods Tribulus, this one is the one. Take the one that's only Tribulus and has a small amount of calcium added to it. 1 gram in the morning is probably a good dose. And then take like a tablespoon or two of Maca a day. Start small, because that shit will knock you off your socks otherwise. And I would say for general kind of overall, the panacea, a foundation of male health, endurance, physical performance, all that, you can't go wrong with Eleuthero, also known as Siberian ginseng. So taking a teaspoon of the raw Eleuthero root, or taking a standardized extract of Eleuthero might work for you. Combined with the Tribulus and Maca, I think that's all anyone needs when they're first starting out. And I think if you're really, really trying to get that edge, I think, especially for physical performance, if you're an athlete and you want natural alternative steroids, like I hate talking about this crap because like so many weird ideas people get, and I feel like these are secrets, honestly. But honestly, the freaking benefits I found from this are extraordinary. Combining the Eleuthero with the Panax red ginseng with Cordyceps and pine pollen, and then the freaking black ant extract. And, just taking like a teaspoon of pine pollen, a teaspoon of black ant, a teaspoon of Cordyceps, and then like maybe, depending on what ginseng you get, if you're taking this one, maybe a fourth of a teaspoon a day. I find that amazing. And for physical performance, but not libido, I would say adding maybe 250 grams of rhodiola rosea, the rosavin extract, not the solidroside, and maybe bumping up to 500 milligrams if you'd like. And then kind of just like every now and then maybe taking some Mucuna. But I think taking a steady dose of Mucuna, preferably the Now Foods Mucuna Dopa, because it's very hard to find a good Mucuna extract as well. just taking a steady dose of that every single day, I think is a pretty good kind of, protocol to use. I'd say I get a lot of people, they think that shit's expensive. I don't know. I think, the shit that people take that's unnecessary, that doesn't give you much of a benefit, is kind of like stupid. But I think the shit that actually works, if you really want to feel like a noticeable, like, holy shit, every aspect of my life is improved. Because, people often talk about steroids, like, being a godsend, or even just TRT for being able to sustain a really demanding lifestyle and recover from it and just feel amazing all the time and all this other crap. For me, I get benefits like that where I'm like, I have a demanding, personal training schedule, health consulting schedule, mindset coaching. I do a lot of just output stuff every day. And then I train 3 times a day. I do jiu-jitsu twice a day. And then my powerlifting training once a day on top of this schedule. And oftentimes only have 4 to 6 hours of sleep, which I tend to feel amazing on. Don't really believe you need 8 hours anyway. And I'm able to do that because of my herb routine and also my diet. And so, yeah, maybe it's expensive, and that's fine. I don't want people to be taking my secrets and whooping my ass in competition with it. But it's amazing when you do the stack. It's well worth the fucking money, in my opinion. Next, let's talk about diet, okay? What I recommend is a mostly carnivore diet. If you can afford it, 100% beef, 3 pounds a day, okay? Depending on who you are, I would recommend 1.5 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Not total body weight, but ideal body weight. For me, that's about 300 grams of protein a day from whole animal protein. The reason why whole animal protein is because if you eat all your protein from whole, like, beef source and not a protein powder, you're getting carnosine, carnitine, creatine. You're getting all of these things that can also improve testosterone, ATP, and dopamine, and also improve mitochondrial energy production, these other things, as well as a full scope of vitamins and minerals. And read the book Not by Bread Alone, also known as Fat of the Land, by Valdemar Stefansson, Arctic explorer, and you'll understand that as long as you get enough meat in your diet, meaning animal flesh, whole animal flesh, you literally will not have deficiencies unless you eat a shit ton of refined foods that require more, micronutrition to metabolize. So you're getting all of your nutrition needs met from the meat alone. If you read these books, you'll understand why. And read the book Vitamania by Catherine Price, so you know that you don't need the government's REI. It's absolute bullshit. And obviously the amino acids and things keep you in a nitrogen surplus, which improves your muscle mass. And on top of that, you get enough calories, protein, and fats to fuel all your anabolic processes and give you all the basic nutrition you need. And even if you're eating 1 meal a day, that's, going to do it. But the next thing I recommend is for testosterone levels. Like, if we're being honest here, a lot of people who keep it 0 carb year round, they tend to have higher sex hormone binding globulin and lower free testosterone. And what I found with my clients who I can, do consulting with, generally speaking, 40 to 80 grams of net carbs per day seems to be enough to get their sex hormone binding globulin to healthy levels and free up the testosterone. So I don't think you need a shit ton of carbs all the time. For me, I'll eat a little bit of carbs here and there, mostly in the form of fruit because of micronutrients involved. And occasionally, I might go out on the weekends or something with a friend or with one of my team members, and we'll eat sushi, like maybe once a week, okay? And I find a targeted ketogenic type carbohydrate approach, along with occasional, what do they call it, cyclic ketosis, seems to be the ticket, because I notice low carb makes me feel amazing all the time. And my performance, my athletic performance actually increases when I keep carbs super low. But targeting a little bit of carbs around training and stuff like that, and just 40 to 80 grams a day, will keep your testosterone levels in the healthy range on your blood markers. So that's important. But I'd say just stay away from refined carbs, because refined foods are a primary cause of nutrient deficiencies. And I think as long as you're eating whole food sources of all your foods, you will not need to worry about nutrient deficiencies, and you'll see nothing but energy and health and feel good all the time. Furthermore, on this kind of animal-based diet, I believe pork is okay. I don't think you should be scared of polyunsaturated fatty acids coming from pork. Even if you're eating 3 pounds a day, I believe it's mostly the overall concentration of these things that are the problem. Also, pork is fed different foods year-round. You're not always going to have the same concentration of polyunsaturated fatty acids from all different types of pork. So people who say pork is just high in polyunsaturated fats all the time, they don't understand the feeding practices change the fatty acid composition. And pigs are fed all sorts of different things all the time. So they're not just grain-fed all the time. They don't just have high polyunsaturated fats all the time. And really, when you compare the polyunsaturated content of pork to beef to vegetable oil, you'll realize 2 pounds of pork a day, even if it's a fatty like butt roast or something, doesn't even give you enough polyunsaturated omega-6 to reach 1 tablespoon of like soybean oil, for example. And it depends on what you're looking at. And so anyway, yeah, I wouldn't obsess over that. I would just say get your fucking meat in first. Eat the meat that you can afford. Eat the meat that you enjoy. And if you're scared of the fat composition, just eat the leaner cuts, okay? But maybe supplement with like grass-fed beef suet. So another thing I'll mention is the fat, the saturated fat. Okay, again, this is debatable. This is not a scientific opinion. This is what I've observed, what I've heard, and putting together the evidence we do have on it. Saturated fat and cholesterol overall in general. Lots of people who are natural have found increasing the saturated fat in their diet has increased their hormone profiles dramatically when measured. And people who are actually on testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy have also noticed, even when they're already on supplemental testosterone, that their levels improve pretty noticeably and dramatically on their blood tests in a dose-dependent fashion from the fat that they're adding into their diet, from the saturated fat. And I think a reason for this is because cholesterol is the building block for pregnenolone, and that's the building block for DHEA, testosterone, cortisol, and these other things as well. So cholesterol and saturated fat does actually provide the building blocks for the hormonal cascade that we're trying to improve. And furthermore, the debate lies within how much cholesterol do we actually need? Because the liver will produce cholesterol on its own, even if you don't eat, cholesterol or saturated fat in your diet. And the vegans will tell you don't need to eat it in order to produce it. But lots of people believe that it's beneficial to add more to your diet, and that the amount that the liver naturally produces is not enough. And so I personally would say that's what I would put my money on being true. And so I just think if you're trying to improve testosterone levels as a man or whatever, or your hormone profiles in general, you want more energy and motivation, I believe eating a lot more animal fat overall and improving your protein from whole animal sources is a good idea. And I believe frequent animal food feedings is probably not a bad idea. I think if you want more motivation and energy and whatnot, and more testosterone, especially on a blood panel, I think more frequent feedings for blood panel results is a good idea. I think fasting can actually accidentally lower your free T and increase sex hormone binding globulin, which isn't good. But you're going to have to experiment and find what works best for you. All right, that concludes this video. Leave me your questions down below. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know your experiences. And if you disagree and stuff like that, subscribe to my content and follow me on Instagram at Coach Wolfgang VL. Send me a message if you want nutrition consultations and nutrition coaching and stuff like that, or virtual training requests. Maybe I might do that. Mostly coaching is what I'll provide. And have a great day.